Governor DeSantis is calling a special session for the Florida legislature later this month to address 4 topics. First, he wants lawmakers to address new duties and funding to help enforce President-elect Donald Trump's immigration policies that are expected to go into effect on day 1. He also called for hurricane relief for funding the My Safe Florida Home program. And the governor also wants adjustments to safety laws for condominiums, which were passed the year after the 2021 Surfside collapse in South Florida. And he's asking lawmakers to overhaul the state's citizen ballot initiative process for proposed constitutional amendments. The special session is set for the week of January 27th, and the regular session begins in March. The number of murders in the River City, Jacksonville, is down 50% compared to last year. We first told you about this trend just after the start of 2025.
Now we're looking into what's behind this dramatic drop. News for Jax reporter Brianna Brownlee sat down with Sheriff T.K. Waters, who credits a special unit within his department with helping stop gun violence.
The numbers is what tell the story, a story we have been working on for the past couple of months. According to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Jacksonville had a total of 126 murders back in 2023. The previous year of 2022, even higher with 135. You could see how high these numbers have been, dating all the way back to 2019, where we had 131. So to see a significant drop off in 2024 to 59 is arguably a huge accomplishment when it comes to crime fighting. When I sat down and spoke with Sheriff T.K. Waters, he explained to me they were able to do this because of an initiative he started back in 2016 when he was assistant chief. 2016 when so many mothers were burying their children. Driving down Moncrief Road in Northwest Jacksonville, you see Restlawn Memorial Park, a final resting place for hundreds. And sadly, many of these graves hold teenagers.
It's like they're not even getting to the legal age to live.
Killed by gun violence.
Hurt, pain, because when you come in, even just briefly looking, just in this sector, it's about 30 to 40% of just babies, 18 or under.
Including her teenage son.
He was my baby boy. Darion was 18 years old. He liked the music. He loved fashion.
Darion's dreams of becoming a rapper ended in the summer of 2019. Gunned down as he and a friend were standing outside a gas station on North Main Street.
It's hard, even with being 5 years as a parent, there's no time frame on grief. There's no way. The pain is just immeasurable.
2019 was the height of the gun and gang violence in Jacksonville, and many families felt the same immeasurable pain as Nixon. That year, FDLE data revealed there were 131 murders.
Darion was number 67.
Sheriff T.K. Waters, who spent years working in homicide, says he saw a war brewing and knew something needed to be done.
Our community who are tired of the violence and tired of being labeled by anyone outside of Jacksonville as the murder capital of Florida. It was our job at that point to focus our attention on those young men.
Sheriff Waters started an initiative called Group Violence Intervention to focus on reducing homicides and gun violence. And what would you say was Jacksonville's issues?
Jacksonville's problem is a little unique. We don't have organized gangs like that. We have what we call hybrids.
Not like the gangs in Los Angeles, New York, or Chicago.
You have your Bloods, you have your Crips, you have your Latin Kings, you have all these different organized gangs.
JSO says there are about 32 active gangs in the River City.
There's no hierarchy. There's no OG. There's no boss. There's just guys that are going out there doing things unorganized and committing violence, acts of violence.
Commander Michael Paul oversees the gang unit, Crime Gun Intelligence Center, and the Community Problem Response Unit. He says Jacksonville's size creates challenges.
We have this huge city with all these other, pockets of issues that we have, and we just have a lot of area to cover. So we had to adjust to that because our violence wasn't in one area.
Lately, it just seems like it's been a significant decline and all that. Do you feel like you guys have done anything differently when it comes to trying to tackle, gang-related issues?
I think it's been a progression. We started out with the group violence, the GVI model, essentially, and kind of worked through that. And then we started tweaking it to Jacksonville. which, every city is different and your violence is different in the city. And we also increased a lot of these units with manpower.
In October of last year, the Sheriff's Office expanded the Gang Investigations Unit, adding a sergeant and 4 detectives, totaling 2 sergeants and 12 detectives.
When you know you have a problem with these guys going out here shooting one another, then you need to put the resources where they are and where the problems are taking place and make sure you deal with those issues.
JSO has also added tools like ShotSpotter and license plate readers to identify who is pushing violence in the city. Chief Alan Parker says it's made a big difference.
In the past, getting accurate suspect information or vehicle information or things of that nature sometimes took a few days because they had to go do it old school with interviews and all that kind of stuff. We still do those things. However, a lot of times now, before patrol even gets on the scene, the Real-Time Crime Center has already pulled up video in the area and figured out what's going on.
The other factor helping to reduce gun violence is partnerships.
And once we talk to these individuals and they determine they want to get out of the gang life, we hand them over to the community partners and they find them things like jobs, schooling, even basic needs, like if they have kids and they need, food, diapers.
One of those partners is Pastor Garland Scott. Before dedicating his life to serving God in his community, he was living the life of crime. Now he helps others escape that same life.
We have scripted a letter from the sheriff that, you have been pointed out because of your activity and your past gang, and it spells everything out. But in the middle of the letters, big bold letters, this is the good news. If you have the courage to take the next steps, we can help you secure employment, health benefit, whatever it is. And they usually call back, and we have still to date about a 30% success rate.
We give them the facts. The truth is, you're going to go to prison, you're going to get murdered. So let's get you out of this, and let's help you connect with some resources to help you go in a different direction.
The sheriff says these methods are working. During 2023, the start of his first term in office, the number of murders declined for the first time in 2 decades.
As I've always said, since we started in 2016, and the sheriff knew this at the time, Sheriff Williams, and you hear everybody says this, right? But this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. I think people wanted it to happen overnight. This is a work in progress, and it's always going to be a work in progress. And we're always going to be learning about different things to do better, to improve.
5 years later, Vanette Nixon wishes more resources had been available for her son.
When I was coming up, we had something called Red Cap. We had programs for the youth to work at the schools, the pools. It was just different things. We don't have any of that anymore. Our programs are basically cut off once kids are getting to middle school. So once they get to middle school, it's over.
JSO tells me in 2025, they really want to focus on the younger generation when it comes to gang activity. They tell me this is why they plan on strengthening their relationship with school boards so they can track who may be an up-and-coming person in gang activity. Reporting from Restlawn, Brianna Brownlee, Channel 4, the local station.